USL Soccer continues in California with a major rivalry match. They won their first year in the championship, a decade of near misses and constant contention at the center of the USL universe leaves more desperation for Old Glory than ever in Sacramento. The Oakland Roots have come around from an early swoon. Hardcore fans and star-studded ownership now in some of the best form in their young club's history, while a movement flourishes in the town. The last remaining beacon of Oakland pro sports who know their roots, the town, the capital, on CBS. Come across the Bay Bridge and join us for the USL Championship on CBS. The Oakland Roots hosting the Sacramento Republic. Take a look at the Western Conference standings, where these teams are tied on 29 points for second place. NorCal, the center, the championship universe this Sunday afternoon. And good afternoon, everyone. Joined by Devin Kerr and Marion Crowder in just a moment. Mike Watts on hand, and welcome to the championship on CBS. Between two teams that, Dev, certainly have a rivalry, but Oakland, as well as they've ever played, best position they've ever sat in against a Sacramento team that, frankly, is perennially in this position. 11 games unbeaten to start the year, tied for 6th best in USL Championship history, but they've struggled since then. They lost their star attacker in Russell Cicerone. They lost their captain in Roro Lopez. What they didn't lose was their defensive form, led by Denny Vitiello in goal. This is one of the best goalkeepers in the USL Championship this season. Why? Head coach Mark Briggs says that it's because of confidence, and it's something that he's lacked in previous years. Well, that's pretty staggering, and all the league should pay attention. Here's why. Goalkeepers with at least 100 appearances, that's one of the best goals against averages and shutout percentages of all time. Well, they're matched up against one of the best runs in Oakland Roots history. They've gone 7-4-1 over the last 12 games. That's second best of all time. Gavin Glinton has given them direction. They have intent within their games. They like to chase down their opponents and make them feel uncomfortable, and they've got their star 9 up top, scoring goals left and right. Now down to Marion with Johnny Rodriguez on the spot.
Johnny, thanks for taking the time. An exciting match day, and really under the leadership of Gavin Glinton, this attack has flourished. Why do you think that is?
I think it's more so having to do with us. I think we know how big of a change it is for the whole group and for the whole team as a whole. So I think we kind of just try to push each other just that bit more, so nothing like that happens again this year.
Johnny, it's going to be an exciting day. Good luck.
Thank you.
We're sold out on this Sunday in Oakland, California. The Oakland Roots and the Sacramento Republic. It's a giant game in the USL Championship. It's coming up next on CBS. The USL is on CBS Sports. They unfurled Oakland will never quit. Well, now the supporters will voice their full-throated support of this Roots side. From Pioneer Stadium, it's the Oakland Roots taking on the Sacramento Republic. And take a look at the starting lineup submitted by their interim head coach, Gavin Glinton. A number of changes here, Dev.
4 that includes speed on the outside because this team likes to play quick and in transition. But as that space opens up, you have to temper the expectations of Neville Hackshaw on the back line, and his distributional capabilities. Needs to stay home to allow this team to move together going forward. But keep your eye on Daniel Gomez within the midfield. He controls everything. He allows this front line to truly chase the game on the attacking and defensive side of things. Mark Briggs, Sacramento Republic. 5 changes into this group. Jared Timmer, his distribution on the back line is quality. Shane Wheat onto the right side. But I'm looking at how he's challenging his players here, specifically Viader and Jacker. They've got to find a way to find balance on the outside of these wings. It's been one-sided. They've been able to lock Jacker down. And then the relationship up top between Kieran James Phillips and Christian Pirano. 12 changes over the last 5 games. Mark Briggs is really challenging this team to take it another level.
Take a look overhead. Pioneer Stadium outside Oakland. Gorgeous day, couldn't ask for any better. The Sacramento Republic away to Oakland. Second meeting of the season the last 6 weeks ago. Oakland, early 3-0 lead, and then they bunkered down, survived for a 3-2 win. Here we go in the rematch. It's the Oakland Roots hosting the Sacramento Republic. And an early foul from Nick Ross. This is the 12th meeting between the teams dating to 2021 in all competitions. Sacramento has won 4, lost 2, and drawn 5. Launched all the way down to Vidiello. Duenjai will have an early conversation. Rasmussen to put it in play. Rodriguez. Trayvon Reed. Picked up by Luis Felipe. Pirano. I think we're in for a steady dose of fouls in this game. Oakland 4th in the league in fouls committed. There's Gavin Glinton. This is game 13 at the helm for the Roots interim manager, named Coach of the Month for a sterling performance by the club in June. Hackshaw circles back with Sorrell for Riley.
A question for them is going to be as to whether or not the aggression continues. They've found ways to win. This 12-game stretch that has seen 7 results for Gavin Glinton, and the quality start for the Oakland Roots that they needed. Manager stepped in after the departure of Noah Delgado, but that's easier said than done against the Sacramento Republic team that is still one of the best in the league, one of the most balanced in the league. But how much confidence do they really have for a team that only has 2 wins in their last 9 league matches?
Reed, an excellent first touch, tees up Cedeno. Cuts it in front, never got to him. Fecca. Backstopped by Gomez. Masoso. Felipe squared him up. What changed in your mind between Oakland, the first 10 games, 8 games of the year with Noah Delgado specifically, to this pretty remarkable 12-game run?
There's an identity for this team that has a real belief. They have an understanding of the game plan that their manager puts in front of them. If you ask any of the players, it's usually quite extensive, and they appreciate that.
Cedeno chipped away by Desmond.
I would also say, Mike, that speaking to the players yesterday at training, they talked about their relationship individually with Gavin Glinton and the level of care, we'll say, that he's given them. And that's not to say that Noah Delgado didn't have it. They just go about it in a different fashion. But Gavin Glinton, he wants what's best for the team, but he also wants what's best for the individual. There's vested time and all of that. It's pretty impressive how quickly the minds have changed here for these Oakland Roots player to establish such a dominating theory within their head that has allowed them to be so successful.
Hackshaw, that banged off the back of Reed. It was Hackshaw who said Gavin Clinton, one of those rare people who get 5–10% more out of you as a player. Burano mentioned pregame the loss of Russell Cicerone for an extended period of time. Burano has stepped in quite ably, but they're excited to get Cicerone back sooner than later.
And Captain Rodrigo Lopez lost in the San Jose Open Cup match for that man right there, Mark Briggs, who his 5th season as the Sacramento Republic head coach, not as only as the all-time winningest coach, but also actually one of the major threats, just in the Western Conference, but in the USL Championship. And that one-on-one relationship that Gavin Clinton has taken under his belt and applied to his team, Mark Briggs has been able to do that as well. But now the question is really from within this group and challenging themselves to reach that next level.
Garrett Phillips took it away, glides through, ball toward the net, goes in! A horrific giveaway from Oakland, and Kieran Phillips bags the opener for Sacramento.
We said coming in with the speed that this team possesses in the Oakland Roots, as they go aggressive forward, you have to be clean in the distribution. And instead, terrible giveaway that isolates both Camden Riley and Neville Hackshaw. Hackshaw does a really good job to retreat and push himself over here, but watch his feet. Very well taken by Kieran Phillips as he gets one-on-one with Hackshaw. Watch his hips and his feet. Gets him caught right there. Great move by the striker to come around the outside of him. He slows the center back down just for a half a second. That allows the touch by, the explosion of speed, and the quality into the bottom corner.
His 4th of the season. And Sacramento, less than 5 minutes in, trying to avenge what they called their worst performance of the season 6 weeks ago against the Roots in the California capital. And they're off and running again. Wonderful step. And Soso chipped away. There's Gurr.
It's just such an unnecessary risk. It'll be the conversation for the manager and for the players on the pitch right now. No reason to try and play that diagonal back across the middle. Again, the space is there. Your center backs are off plane. You put them in a very difficult situation if the ball is turned over.
Burano couldn't find Gurr. Rasmussen, Fecka got cleaned out by Justin Portillo. Acquired June the 6th from Tulsa. An understanding with Rodrigo Lopez's season-ending knee injury in the Open Cup round of 16. A player that Mark Briggs had coached before fit into this midfield quite well. Launched into Cedeno. Turned away by Wheat. Phillips overran it. Rodriguez. There's Gomez. Another takeaway for Sacramento high up the field, although Burano will step on it. It's a Sacramento team that's conceded the fewest goals in the league, 13, against an Oakland side that's conceded more goals than any team in playoff position, the most in the Western Conference, 30. Yet they're still in 2nd place, believe it or not.
And to be fair to them and the Oakland Roots, that was really something that was was an impact in the beginning of the season, right? Again, we talk about the changeover under Gavin Clinton. He's come in about 2 months ago, and establishing confidence is one thing. The identity rests, though, on having structure in this team and their ability to transition going the other way, but making sure that they're set when the opposition moves deep down in. Just watch on this near touchline as well. Something to keep an eye on, that the tendency with the addition of Justin Rasmussen in the outside left back spot, Mike, he likes to invert himself. They want to overload on the inside and use him to build through. But that also plays into the hands of Jack Kerr and Christian Pirano on the near touchline. It's something that's really plagued them over the past 5 matches.
Felipe. We're through Villader and through Phillips. Let's go back to the 5th minute opening goal for Sacramento by Kieran Phillips.
I mentioned, Mike, that you didn't need to play that ball coming back across, because then all of a sudden Camden Riley's out of position. Hackshaw has to shift over, and as a center back matched up head on against a striker, puts you in a really bad spot. That striker has the ability to make you chase the game. It's the worst position you can be in as a defender outside of being against the run of play, trying to forward face on a transitional moment in group play. So you're one-on-one, you're turned around, and Hackshaw does a good job to close the space down, but then credit to Kieran Phillips, who gets him to bite on the first touch and then puts it into the bottom corner.
Not much in that, but enough in that. Clearly hampered Riley. And Phillips, who was the first transaction between the, call them sister clubs, right? Kevin Nagel owning Huddersfield and also this Sacramento Republic team, making the move over to America. Had some time in the Everton Academy before moving on to Huddersfield. Loaned around on 5 different occasions. Also suffered a horrific double knee fracture a little less than a decade ago now that really stymied his development, but his skill, no one will doubt that. He's got this great burst to him. Ultimately allowed him to go catch up to that back pass. Led to the opening goal. Appeal for a handball. Now that's heard.
He has a handball.
Diaz. Here's Riley. Dev, I know you're a big fan of Riley, not just in this role, seemingly in any role.
Yeah, he's joked with his manager, Gavin Clinton. He's the world's best Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Right, coming up through the Kansas City Academy as he's moved into the USL Championship ranks with San Diego Loyal. Of course, RGV a couple of years ago, and now with the Oakland Roots. I think people look at him and think, well, how does a player like that, that's so regularly used within the lineup, how does he get here? Well, when you don't get that pro option right away and then you chase the collegiate route, you become one of the best players at the NCAA level, and then you're looking for that next step, right? And he tried to find that for a couple of years, but he's really done a good job of just settling himself down and doing what he does best, which is being consistent on the ball.
And that was a heck of a tackle and nearly opened things up for the Roots, although it comes calmly back to Vitiello. Riley said it's a special quality to have that level of versatility. There's a certain IQ that it takes to see the game from different lines and different areas of the field, ultimately be effective as he has been. To be fair, that's the calling card seemingly for this entire Oakland roster. Riley ranges over. Into Pirano with space. Pirano! Knocked aside Sorrell. Bounces out to Gurr. Off the back of Rasmussen. The second effort, Karam's over the line for a corner.
He's really come into his own. Christian Pirano, probably the best they've had in the attacking unit over the last 5 or 6 matches, and just his willingness to go explore any sort of space in front of him. He doesn't lack the ability to challenge you in one-on-ones, But the quick little cutback across, playing him off this half channel on the right-sided shoulder of Kieran Phillips is exactly where they want him to be. They just want him to have more support around himself, which is really what they've struggled with. But a great take by him from distance.
Portillo. Header bouncing by Sorrell and out for a goal kick. Tim Sorrell, the 20-year-old goalkeeper, comes out of Project 510. For more on that, down to Marion.
It was a youth development program that was founded in 2019, and that was actually set up to mirror parts of Nike's Project 40, if you remember, that ran from 1997 to 2005. And guys, that's the program that helped develop national teamers by the likes of Tim Howard, DeMarcus Beasley. And this academy setup is obviously great for the community and youth soccer as a whole, but it's been extremely impactful for the Roots first team. Over the last 3 seasons, 9 Project 510 players have made their debut, including the aforementioned Tim Sorrell.
Chase the Project 40 program.
You would be old enough to
reached out 40 times. 40 times they told me no. And it is a testament, though, to what this club has been able to do within the community and beyond. It's Daniel Gomez, it's Tim Sorrell. Tim Sorrell, in this specific instance, you could be looking at a changing of the guard with their longtime stalwart Paul Blanchett in goal.
Sacramento took it away again. This is lobbed out beyond Sorrell. Long run for Gurry, won't get there.
He's young, Tim Sorrell, but he's very tall. He's got the frame of a good goalkeeper and really explosive. I personally just think he has such a commanding presence. He's one of those goalkeepers that whipping a ball into the box as an attacker, you're always afraid of where he's going to be because you know that he'll step right into your space and close things down.
First start in 6 weeks with the aforementioned Blanchett in goal. His last start was actually the 3-2 win at Sacramento. Has a chance to be one of those real points of pride for the USL Academy path to pro. Of course, another point of pride, the recent move with Fidel Barajas onto Chivas for 7-figure money. Brought in by Charleston, Young Player of the Year, about 6 months in Salt Lake. And now down to Liga MX moving forward.
A friendly reminder, he had a cup of Kool-Aid with Sacramento Republic as well.
Yeah.
Not coffee, too young at that point in time.
Kids these days. Portillo. Chance to knock this back along. Brought down. Desmond wasn't able to settle. Reed. Wow, Pirano really getting after it. Spoke to Mark Briggs last night. He acknowledged it is very much a rivalry. Plenty of former Sacramento employees, players have been involved on the Oakland side, including Gavin Clinton, who was the academy director for a short time. Foul won by Johnny Rodriguez. Although the experience, right, the YouTube series that USL has done a great job with. They put out a 15-minute mini documentary called Deeply Rooted this week, and the first line from a fan, Steve Murakami, the Homegrown Hooligans, one of the support groups here, said, "I don't know if they know it, but we have a deep hatred for Sacramento." You could argue it dates back to one of the first meetings in June 2021, a game postponed due to field conditions here in Oakland. Rasmussen launching. Header back across toward Riley and snagged by Vitiello. And Vitiello crashed hard.
Just slowly trying to work themselves back in here. Oakland Roots, albeit from the ball situation down in the corner. Not a ton in this from pressure of Camden Riley, and he's trying to pull out of it. Body comes to the side. Vitiello just as high as humanly possible. This is one of the things that they do. They go get their lead, they slow the game down, they frustrate you, and make make you make mistakes. It's really what we've seen. Obviously, the opening goal itself, turnover on the far side, but certainly the chances that have come since then, just not as clean, efficient on the ball, the Oakland Roots that we've seen over this 12-game run.
Trying to find their way. They conceded in the 5th minute of play to Phillips. Oakland team coming off a disheartening loss. Well, it turns out Pittsburgh saved all their goals for these last 2 weeks. The attack is on here for Sacramento. Knocked across, options galore. Finally, Memo Diaz got it away from Phillips, and Riley launches toward the halfway line. Into Luis Felipe. Parado. Out to Jack Gurr. Gurr all the way across and out the other side.
Again, we talked about the mistakes for the Oakland Roots. Watch that structure that I alluded to earlier. Yes, there's the turnover, but notice all the black jerseys converging on the most threatening piece, and then they force it to the outside. Much better defensively from Oakland. Again, everybody's going to make mistakes. Obviously, you and I do, Mike, right? We're here together.
Yeah.
But how do you respond in those moments? There's the goal that's given up. There's the space that's been conceded, and certainly on that movement. But the resolve to retreat, get yourself set appropriately. Well done.
Fecka. Coming off a muscle strain, only his 7th start of the year. Few teams are more defined by their wingbacks than the Sacramento Republic. Villader, Gurr, and at this point you can certainly add Alder Sanchez to that group as well.
Just different profiles, and speaking with head coach Mark Briggs, very clear about the fact that it's been a bit one-sided in terms of their production. Certainly the right side with Jack Gurr was the direction he was leaning into, and maybe that lack of equilibrium on the left, but good quality shifts out of Alder Sanchez. I would still say that in terms of the best look that you're going to get over there, it is going to be Damian Villader. The ability he possesses with the ball at his feet, willingness to be a little bit more adventurous going forward. It's also a wake-up call, not just for the wingbacks, Mike, for the rest of the players on this team right now. One of the great things they've been able to do is, when things haven't suited them, they've done a really good job of going out into the transfer market and finding impact players almost immediately. But with 2 positive results in the last 9 matches, you better believe the seat's hot for a bunch of these guys, and you need to get it in gear right now. But to be struggling for form and still sitting tied for 2nd in the Western Conference, certainly not the worst position to be in.
Certainly no panic when you talk to the players, coaches, Mark Briggs, Todd Donovan. They've been there, done that. Group that reached the Open Cup final in 2022, reached the quarterfinal this year, took Seattle all the way to the wire. Vitiello. Hackshaw. Give it away to Reed. Rodriguez. Now Metsoso.
It's another risky ball from Justin Rasmussen that could have gotten them in that trouble if they were able to pick out Jack Gurr. They're having a little bit of trouble on the inside right now, Mike, because of the movement from Sacramento Republic. Nick Ross dropping down in, and as Luis Felipe comes high, it frees Justin Portillo to create some of these chances from the inside. But what it does defensively is it makes Lino Mafeka, Daniel Gomez, and Napo Masoso try and track 4 runners between 3 players. So closing down the space, getting the marks right at the appropriate time. Just a bit troublesome right now for the Roots.
Sorrell sends it away. Marion, something to add?
Yeah, that additional attack or defensive effort, Devin, that you're talking about is actually affecting the attacking build-out as well. And the direction from Gavin Glenn on the sideline, specifically to his midfielders and Danny Gomez, is you're hiding. And then the second thing that he is screaming at them to do is challenge and anticipate for the second ball.
One of the key things that Mark Briggs talked about in that 3-2 loss last time about Oakland was their ambition, their intent, the willingness to go and just compete. And that's completely reversed right now to Marion's point. You see a very spirited team in Sacramento Republic that's active, good runs off the ball, positionally challenging their opponent, and Oakland's just not responding. Sometimes it doesn't come down to tactics, Mike. It's just your ambition within a match and how much you want it.
Hackshaw. You know, Hackshaw feels himself a little bit. He's still a midfielder at heart. Don't let him tell you otherwise. Well, he won't tell you otherwise. Ball launched across. He'll play anywhere he's asked, but they never let you out of center back, did they? Someone tried.
Not once they put me there.
Well, someone tried you at outside back once upon a time. At least they wanted to. I don't know if that played.
Friendly confines of Starfile Field and Brian Schmether and the Seattle Sounders organization. No, but look, here's the thing that you get out of that, though, right? With someone like Neville Hackshaw from the Oakland Roots. You take a guy who's got ambition to play down in the engine room. He's comfortable on the ball, he's clean, and he's got that physical side. As you bring him deeper, he's able to communicate, organize the back line, but also still have that aggression. He just has to understand when the moments are because of how good he is with the ball at his feet, but also his importance defensively of making sure he's still one of the last opportunities for them if things do break down.
Run in by Riley. Riley looks like he can play for the Niners with some of the tackles he's putting in this afternoon. So look at the fans here in Oakland. So vocal. This is a club that ultimately just wants their football to keep up with everything they're doing off the field, right? It's very rare you find a club that's so prideful in its off-field ventures. And when you talk to Jordan Farrell, talk with the coaches, the players, it just exudes out of their pores. Evan Clinton, that's the latest.
Careful on the mismatches down here at the bottom of the box. Luis Felipe, Jared Timmer, Lee Desmond, they love to run this little stunt. Ball pinged to the backside of the 6, the redirect back across.
So, watch this, headed across and snapped in! Shane Wheat! Just his 6th pro goal! It's dreamland for Sacramento in Oaktown!
That's a mistake defensively. You could see it from a mile away. The height differentiation between the players, the numbers, the lack of coverage, but the ability for Sacramento to go execute. This ball, again, as we said leading in, all you're looking to do here is drive something to the backside. What it does is shift the team defensively. Oakland all of a sudden have to turn their bodies to allow for not just the run over the left side, but the back post run, and really well done by Shane Wheat here. Good ball by Portillo, put on a platter, coming back across, but for Shane Wheat to commit to this and judge it, perfect timing, the explosion right into it, and the second on the afternoon.
Oakland led the last meeting between these teams 3-0 just after an hour. Sacramento scored 2 goals late. They've grabbed the first 2 goals on this sunny Sunday afternoon. That is a dangerous challenge. We are still without a card in this game, and you could argue Ross started this game within 30 seconds with a pretty hefty challenge too.
There's a little bit of contact here. It's more the intent than anything in that situation. Marion, the sideline, talked about the words from manager Gavin Clinton. He said, "You're hiding." Maybe none more so than a man you just saw, Jasil Cedeno, who has been in incredible form. Sitting down with the young man from Ecuador, said, "Is this the best we've seen out of your 6-year career?" Didn't even pause. Absolutely. He feels really comfortable within the community. Feels like this is finally the place that he can call home, if only for a short while, but very clear about his ambition as well, that is to find a way to reach the highest levels for him personally and work his way into the national team.
Ball into the penalty area, will skim across. Way down to Sorrell. Kerr flying in. Kerr's always flying somewhere.
Remember the game we did with him in 2022? It was en route to Sacramento's Open Cup final run, falling just short against Orlando City. The quarterfinal match against LA Galaxy. He had 2,200, just over 2,200 meters at max sprint. To put that in perspective, you didn't reach that in an entire high school football career, correct?
Absolutely.
But it's the level of intensity that he brings to this game on that far side. That is a nasty challenge.
That's a yellow and a coming together. Vidiello pulling everybody apart. There have been a few skirmishes over the years when these teams come together. Rodriguez shown the yellow. It's now the 6th consecutive meeting between the teams in which Oakland earns the first card.
That's frustration boiling over for Johnny Rodriguez. Hasn't seen a ton of the ball. Most of responsibility on the afternoon so far has just been chasing side to side. Very well done by this back line of Republic to be able to shift him to do so.
Christian, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Up to Reed, tough tackle. That'll come with a card for Wheat.
That's a mistake by the referee, though. It's certainly a foul. There's no doubt about that. The way that the challenges have been flying, you can understand why he pulls the card here. Studs up, but they had Linda Mafeka exactly where they wanted. Good depth off the ball movement here by the Oakland Roots. And although Trayvon Reed is taken down, Daniel Gomez had him streaking down into the corner on a one-touch ball. Heard it from the sideline, heard it from the captain. But if you're a Roots player, most importantly, you should just be happy that you were able to build through the back line. Probably the best sequence they've had in the entirety of the first half.
Just over half an hour in. Riley. Right to Phillips. Leaked by Gomez. Up to Pirano. Pirano angles and fires. Hackshaw got his foot on it. A handful of those uncharacteristic head scratchers from Oakland. Gurr comes in, the whistle's gone, and Wheat's going to be on the wrong end of a conversation.
goal scorer adds a little extra on the backside of this challenge. It was really well done by the visitors to get a 2v1. Notice the recovery of Jack Kerr. Get everything you want out of it, you get the touch, but watch Wheaton, the elbow, just lean into him. Unnecessary.
Being on a yellow card, you do have Connor Donovan off the bench, which would allow you to fill out that 3-back quite nicely if you want to make a change at halftime and evade any potential problems. Having Glinton, a few words for Rasmussen and Hackshaw. They tee up the short free kick. 13 Sacramento fouls. Mentioned at the beginning, Oakland 4th in the league in fouls committed. Sacramento giving them more than a taste of their own medicine. Down the line for Memo Diaz. Diaz crossing for Rodriguez and cleared out by Wheat. Cedeno. Ripped out by Desmond. Hackshaw. They like this right side right now. Diaz. Head swiveling, got the cross through, but it did get over the line. Let's go down to Marion Crowder with interim Roots head coach Gavin Glinton.
Gavin, it's obviously not the start that you wanted, but what needs to change so that you guys can find some of the rhythm to get back in this game?
Yeah, I think first we need to stop hiding, move the ball a little bit quicker. We're getting caught, and they're able to trap us down one side quite often. Right now we've got to find outlets and be more options so we can move the ball quickly, create more gaps, and start to look to isolate and penetrate. It's not happening at all.
Thanks, Gavin.
The stands are shaking over there, I think.
And within that, though, you know, he talked about them hiding. It's on both sides of the ball because defensively they're getting scattered. They're lacking organization so that when they are picking up any of the challenges that they've been able to win, Mike, players aren't in the appropriate spots and you don't have those outlets. So you don't have the ability to find the first one, find the second one. These are things that are regularly being told to you in training, and that's what they're missing right now. So energy, one thing, structure, another. I would just say trying to find a way to compete right now because frustration has gotten in the way of their overall decision making. That's really troubled them in the first half.
Rodriguez to ground, it remains with the Roots. Sacramento unbeaten on the road through 8 games, 4 wins, 4 draws. Up 2-0 through 36 minutes. Phillips in the 5th, Wheat in the 28th. Cedeno. Now Gomez. Here's Metsolso. Slides in, free kick Oakland.
That's a better job done by Metsolso coming up through the middle. That would have been an issue if there wasn't contact. The oncoming is Felipe, and even more concern here is after the fact for their midfielder. Still trying to recover the form that we saw out of Luis Felipe back in 2022. Certainly the goals that he was able to put up on the attacking front last year, 7 to his name. But with the losses of Russell Cicerone on the front line, Rodrigo Lopez into the team in general, the depth is growing thin in the midfield.
Luis Felipe remains down, insult to injury. Referee waits to give him a yellow card after that rash slide in. It's Pioneer Stadium, it's the campus of Cal State East Bay. Bit of a rolling stone, this Roots team, in their short run in the championship, their 4th season in the USL Championship. But we anticipate they'll have a much more conclusive home sooner than later. Look into the stands. They followed, ultimately, Devin, wherever the Roots have gone. Felipe shown the yellow, so while the athletic trainer walks him off, Felipe does have to come off for a set piece. So Sacramento's going to defend this with 10. It's Hackshaw that gives you a lot of different options here, right? He's standing by his lonesome. He'll make that run in. You'll often see him nod this ball back across the face of goal, which is ultimately how Sacramento found their second, with Timmer hitting Wheat. So Daniel walks away. It'll be Diaz to put it in play. Diaz, Rodriguez, header off the crossbar, and offside. Hackshaw was offside. Rodriguez just kept it alive long enough for the towering center back to come forward.
Really well designed, though, running the little flick to the near post. It occupies Hackshaw on the backside where he's 2v1, but the center backs lose him off the first touch by Johnny Rodriguez right atop the 6. Again, this is a guy in Neville Hackshaw that does not lack the ability to go and attack the game. It's just a little bit more restricted as he's deeper coming off that back line, but you get set piece opportunities, he'll be there.
Well, that gets the crowd excited again. Snapped ahead by Wheat, taken on by the Roots. Looking for a goal to get back into the game in the final 5 minutes or so of the first half. Gurr, wrong-sided Pirano. About 75 degrees today, no need for a hydration break. It'll be a limited amount of stoppage time to come. Like swept out from under Gurr. Gurr, a reminder of the talent in the NAIA ranks, played at Georgia Gwinnett before going to Atlanta, eventually to their sister club in Aberdeen. That's a ball. Gurr,
So is that.
hangs it across. Phillips went up for it. Wasn't able to redirect it toward goal.
It's a beautifully weighted ball down into the corner, and then Jack Gurr knows that in order to get anything out of this, he's got to try and find a way to get square on it, so when he brings his laces across the ball, he can make sure that he hits it straight on. Allow Kieran Phillips to get on the end of it. What's been the theme of the first half, though, for the Oakland Roots, Mike, is organization and energy, right? There's a foul right in front of the technical area. You're 45 yards from goal, and then you don't pull your players back to get in behind, and you allow arguably the most, if not one of the most dangerous men on the pitch for Sacramento Republic to get in behind.
Timmer. Got away from Portillo. Fecca eventually barrel rolls over the ball. Out to Gurr. Now Pirano. Vitiello. Felipe. Now Pirano. 25th minute. Sacramento off on the right foot this afternoon. Hackshaw does have to deal with it. Riley. Sacramento 2014 champion and expansion team. #1 seed in the West in 2016, again in 2023. Last year reached the Western Conference Final and fell ultimately to the team of destiny, it turned out. Phoenix Rising won the title out of the 6th seed. Good hold up, Nfeka. Apparently that ball had come to a complete stop because they'll allow this to play. An Oakland team that's won 7 of their last 10. And sometimes you look at the teams that you've beaten, you go, did we really learn anything? In theory they had, but this Sacramento team giving them all they can handle. Gurr up to Pirano. Pirano shuffles it through. Ross! Oh, that is a tremendous team goal from the Sacramento Republic.
It's poetic in nature from Mark Briggs and Sacramento Republic. Again, when you go transitional, you have to make sure that you've got proper defensive coverage, and they cheat a little bit on that left-hand side. Rasmussen comes high. Neville Hackshaw doesn't rotate out quick enough. They don't have the coverage. And look at the effort put forth by Jacker on the initial touch to then stretch one of the defenders. He holds on the inside. Napo Matsotso. That full retreat by the midfielder would have come back in. He would have gone alongside Hackshaw to then help out the diagonal run against Nick Ross, a player for the Republic who was the most incredibly consistent over the opening 10 games. They feel like he's faded. They feel like he's lacked confidence, but that movement right there with the finish into the bottom corner, chef's kiss to the Republic, and a class opening 45 minutes that we have not seen this season.
And the Scotsman scores his first of the season. We're in the first minute of first half stoppage time. And would you blame the Roots if they're a little bit shell-shocked? You could sense it when you spoke to Mark Briggs, when you spoke to Lee Desmond yesterday. The way they lost 6 weeks ago, falling 3-0 behind, a performance that in every way was a disappointment to this Republic team. They're out to rectify that here this afternoon, and through 45 minutes they've done that and more. Played long and early for Phillips. Hackshaw tracked him into the corner. Pirano got a piece. There's the whistle. This is a Sacramento team that had scored 1 goal in their last 4 league games. They have exploded for 3 here in the first half. Pirano levied off to Gurr. Gurr angles, fires high. What an exclamation point that could have been.
Also a reminder on the scouting report that there's still little asterisks to everything for Jacker, who wants this on his right foot. That's how Justin Rasmussen reads it. Tries to push him to the bottom line, and he knows that it's a decent opportunity for a wing back that gets away from him.
Down to Sorrell. Maybe one last attack here for Oakland. They'll pull it back. Riley on a whim Run down by Timmer. Hackshaw. Bypassing Ross. 50-50 that Diaz came away with, if only briefly. So with Oakland, if there's any time left, the goal came about 10 seconds before stoppage time. Ball's out of play about 50 seconds. So in theory, just now, we've truly hit the allotment. Halftime in Oakland. And the Sacramento Republic, 3 first-half goals after scoring just once in their last 4 games. Phillips in the 5th, Wheat in the 27th, and Nick Ross in the 45th. And what a moment for this Republic team.
If you're Mark Briggs, the only frustrating idea you may have about the opening half is that maybe, if you want to be picky, maybe you weren't able to finish off a couple of more, but again, they were very impressive. And if you're the Oakland Roots, I'm going to go back to a quote that Gavin gave me yesterday at training. Without an agreement, there is no accountability. They need to take a long, hard look in the dressing room at halftime and figure out what their intention is and what they want to get out of the second 45 minutes.
Let's go down to Marion with the first goal scorer, Kieran Phillips.
Kieran, an opening goal and a dream start for Sacramento Republic. What was your thoughts on your team's first half performance?
I think it's what we came here to do, put pressure on them early. We said we'll get one early, and when we do, we make sure we keep going, keep getting more goals, try and pop to bed in the first half.
A lot of the opportunities that you guys had came from your defensive positioning. With a 3-0 lead on the road on a Sunday afternoon, what can we expect to see in the second half?
Same again, we'll keep going, try and get 5 or 6.
Thank you, good luck.
Kieran Phillips.
He's not greedy.
No. 3-0 at halftime. Sacramento hardly satiated. Plenty more. The USL Championship coming up on CBS. Technical director for Oakland Roots, Jordan Farrell, once described every Roots home game like a block party. The town is here, but they've struggled. 3-0 down to Sacramento at halftime on CBS Sports. Joined by Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. Let's take a look at first half highlights, and it is going to be very Sacramento heavy.
They're very aggressive on the outside, the Oakland Roots, and so as they move in possession, you just have to make sure you have the proper coverage. But Camden Riley and Neville Hackshaw, they're on different planes. So as Memo Diaz gives the ball away, Kieran Phillips gets himself into a one-on-one, does a really good job with his touches to shift Neville Hackshaw, creates space for himself, and creates the opening goal for Sacramento Republic. It actually came off another mistake, and as they pick up the passage here, notice Christian Brano's head. The entire time, he's scanning. What do I have on the left? What do I have on the right? He didn't really have any support, so he recognizes the fact there's space, has a strike from distance, but Tim Sorrell does a really good job to parry this aside. A couple of minutes later, you could see it. You could see it from the parking lot. They were set up to knock this thing to the backside. They had the mismatch in height. They had the 2v1, the number advantage, and all you're looking to do, put this thing on the back shoulder, put it back across the 6. They grabbed their second in the afternoon. But the aggression of this team is what has seen them be right at the top of the Western Conference over the past 3 seasons. Once again, it rings true. Jack Gurr, Brano into the bottom corner, and his patience that allows this run to develop on the diagonal back across the 6. Nick Ross on that front line. Pirano, Ross, Phillips, 5 different players for Sacramento Republic contributing to a goal in the first half. 3 goals for the first time this season in the opening 45 minutes.
And Dev, the word you used was aggression. How about 8 shots to 1 and fouls? Physical aggression, 17-7.
As I would say about the 17 fouls, and this was a note that I wrote down, Sacramento averages 13 in a match. That's 6.5 aside. They didn't allow Oakland to establish any rhythm. So all of a sudden, even when you are set, it's difficult to find that next player because of the physicality of play from the opposition.
540 minutes in a Sacramento kit, and now 4 goals for Kieran Phillips, 3 and 45 for the Republic. Welcome back to Northern California, where Sacramento has a 3-0 lead. The homestanding Oakland Roots here on CBS Sports. We have more USL action Saturday, August 3rd, 4 Eastern. An Eastern Conference battle between Detroit City and expansion side Rhode Island FC. It's on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus. We still have another half to go here. Maybe the best chance from Hackshaw. That was offside. Oakland trying to come back from 3 goals down on CBS. Welcome back. That is a very different Oakland Roots team than you left when they went into the locker room. A triple change for Gavin Clinton, trying to change the momentum. 3 goals down as Gagi, Dwyer, and Njai replace Metsoso, Reed, and Cedeno.
It's 3 players that are going to affect 5 different positions. Gagi comes onto the back line. Camden Riley will go up next to Daniel Gomez to try and create some solidification within the engine room. They really struggled with any sort of possession there. You've got more speed on the outside with Babacar Njai and Johnny Rodriguez and Dom Dwyer trying to find some sort of presence, what they really struggled with. Johnny Rodriguez wasn't on the ball at all in the first half.
On to the second half we go. We might see a tremendous comeback from this Oakland team. Goodness knows Sacramento nearly did it to the Roots 6 weeks ago, falling behind 3-0, bagging too late. The Roots said they hung on for dear life then. Can they perhaps put that impetus on this Sacramento team in the second half. Ross, Sacramento carving their way into the attacking half. Pirano.
Oh, he fancies himself, doesn't he?
Luis Felipe for Gurr. Options abounding. Gurr got away from Ross. Falls in front. Phillips taps it in. 5 minutes into the first half. 50 seconds into the second. He went into the locker room saying, 5, 6, that's on our mind. He's got the fourth.
It starts with Christian Pirano, though. The youngster that has really found himself a home on that right side, felt a lot more comfortable, slows down this passage to allow numbers to come high. So what that does is not only do they establish dominance in numbers, but it opens up more space on the backside to create support. Notice how Damia Villader starts to push forward. Really well done by Kieran Phillips to just start to assert himself over that back shoulder of Memo Diaz, who, to be fair, needed a little bit of help from Gagi on the back line, but instead, it's 2v1 once again. Good separation by the 9, and a fourth for the Republic.
Gomez sending down the line. Dwyer lurking, and Njai taking off the ball. Hackshaw. Well, the Roots are coming off a 5-0 dismantlement in the hands of Pittsburgh. They've now conceded 9 goals in the last 127 minutes.
Not only that, they've done it to 2 teams that have been struggling heavily in the final third. He's not afraid to make changes. He made 2 after 45 minutes against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. He's made 3 here. Again, tactically, it does give you a different look, more wild cards, and guys like Abakar Njai on the far side, Gagi off the back line, willingness to take chances.
Dwyer kept it alive, but he did push down on the defender. Gagi came running in from the back line to take part. Let's go down to Marion.
I really wish that I had some otherworldly tactical explanation for the subs, and unfortunately we don't. For Gavin Glinton, what he told me is it's all down to energy at this point and how much more important that becomes. He said, I need guys that are gonna be willing to scrap. He even tried to make a second point to me, paused, and then said, no, it really is all about energy for me right now.
To give you an idea of how frustrated the manager is out of the dressing room. He was out about 5 minutes early, came out by himself. A couple of comments to the subs on the sidelines, specifically the one-on-one with Dom Dwyer, and then the rest of the team followed. Moments like that, Mike, manager walks in, a verbal thrashing, a bit of inspiration, and then as he departs, the ideas start to circumvent the dressing room of, are you with me? Are you willing to chase this game? Let's go and get something back here in the second half. Not the best start, though.
Well, and Mark Briggs did much the same, right? Last game, 0-0 against North Carolina. After 45 minutes, he said, North Carolina was better than us.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty stern talking to in the dressing room as a result. Hackshaw. Contact on Njai. Scooped up here by the Republic. They were off to the best start of anybody in the league. They had a run to the Open Cup quarterfinal. The recent league form is lacked. They've gone out here and back 4 on the road against their chief geographic rival.
Just a friendly reminder, there is a certain team in the Eastern Conference that also started 11 games unbeaten.
All across, down toward Phillips.
Sure, Ben Pierman and the Charleston Battery would have something to say about that.
While there's the Battery in second place, just like Sacramento coming into the weekend. Louisville City leads the way for the Shield. Of course, it was Louisville that put everyone in the CBS universe on notice. The first game on network television in league history. Louisville front of a huge crowd in Kentucky, blowing out Indy 11.
I'm sure managers love to see us coming.
Someone is going to be really hurting today. This moment, it's Oakland. Gagi. Sacramento, 9 shots, but yeah, it's where they've taken shots.
That's one thing to go win a tackle. It's another to push the attack quickly into the corner, but very impressive how many numbers that have been willing to commit to those ideas going forward for Sacramento Republic.
Dwyer lets this run through. Tried to flick it through. Dom Dwyer, just his 6th appearance with the club. Only 73 minutes in this run that began in April, but didn't really touch the field until May. I think everyone's well aware of the talent that he possesses, so much so that the Englishman ultimately was naturalized a U.S. citizen to play for the U.S. national team for a brief stint while he was tearing up Major League Soccer. But before he had done that, well, he was the dominant piece of an Orlando City USL powerhouse. It's quite the collision on the near touchline that will eventually bring a whistle. Riley's going to check on Viader. Riley shown yellow.
Watch the lower knee, look away. That'll leave a mark. Just hoping in that situation that it's mostly contact and muscular, and we wither the way into the rest of the match. Allow Damian Viader to continue on. What a first half for this team. Again, you don't want to be one-sided in what went on, but Sacramento Republic scored 3 goals in the opening 45 minutes for the first time in 24 matches. They add a 4th to start the second half that equals their season high. It's the round of 16 match in the U.S. Open Cup. 4-3 victory in extra time against San Jose. I'm with Mark Briggs on this one. Maybe not necessarily in terms of his use of French on the sidelines in the technical area. We do apologize for any comments that might have been picked up, but his point is there's a challenge here. You've stopped the passage of play. You've issued a yellow card in that situation, but you're given a drop on the other side of the field.
This is where an official needs to take control of this a bit. A lot of talking. Here's some Feka. Bring it back and do it again. Feka scored twice in the last meeting between these teams. It was June 15th in Sacramento. Tied on 29 points for second place behind New Mexico in the Western Conference. So this build is maybe the best of the Roots Republic games since the rivalry kicked off in 2021. Viader taken on by Diaz, and up through Dwyer. Dwyer for Diaz, cutting it all the way across, goal! Johnny Rodriguez grabs one back for Oakland.
Though they concede the 4th at the start of the second half, the idea here from Gavin Glitton is he wants his outside wingers to come a little bit higher. It pushes the defensive shape of Sacramento Republic deeper, but it also allows Memo Diaz and Justin Rasmussen on the outside to make sure that when they're coming, they have the game in front of them. So on his initial step, well done, and then just like we saw from Jacker in the first half, the continuation on the right-hand flank, credit to Dom Dwyer. Thought that this angle had slowed things down for him and he had lost the window to be able to play through it. Instead, it allows more space on the backside to open up for Johnny Rodriguez and get one back.
Rodriguez 4 in 5 games, 7th of the year. Meanwhile, the ball put in play, sent down toward Phillips, and then a knock on the far touchline that grinds play to a halt. I feel like you and I scaled a mountain to get in here alongside this magnificent Oakland vista. And Hackshaw still down to his knees after really bustling away with Phillips. That's a lot of talking.
It's concerning is what it is. That's better.
Yep. And a substitution for Sacramento. The Aldair Sanchez signed in an open tryout in 2022. Only got better. Vancouver, Washington native, 2nd round pick, DC United. 7th appearance off the bench, has played in all 19 this year. Places Damia Villadere, had taken that knock just a moment ago. Villadere, major plus to the USL ecosystem, came out of Omaha. Njai causing problems for Desmond. It's the first change for Sacramento. Oakland made their triple sub at halftime. Sanchez knocked it away. Into Mfeka. Riley squares across. Rasmussen winding around, instead high toward Rodriguez. Njai. Hackshaw. Oakland making the most out of the first 15 minutes out of halftime. Problem is they conceded one just a minute out of the break. Well, they do pull one back in the 56th. Rodriguez still in that 15-minute span. Dwyer, that deflects up toward Mfeka. Steps over. Lindo Mfeka deflects off the hands of Vitiello. Skitters over and snags it.
Better though, much better from the home team. Seen a good spark from Njai on the far side. I like the interchange that we're seeing out of Mfeka, Rodriguez, and Tom Dwyer up top.
Stolen, Njai, Dwyer. Dwyer, fancy footwork, and he was waiting for an outlet that never came. Meanwhile, Luis Felipe is down. Grabbed by Pirano. Felipe will eventually cause the whistle to be blown here.
His right leg looked like that. Thought he got stepped on. It was that little 2v1 in the midfield. Johnny Rodriguez come up over the right side. Andy Gomez doesn't get him there. Right there, yep. Interestingly enough, although the contact actually occurs on the outside of lower right leg, he's actually holding the shoulder when he came down to ground.
And Luis Felipe attended to here.
Just a chat right here between Mark Briggs and Jared Timmer on the back line. One thing that Dom Dwyer has done, I get it, sample size very small, 16 minutes into the second half, is positionally much more active than what we saw out of Johnny Rodriguez in the first half. So he's holding Jared Timmer, but then as he steps up with him, Justin Portillo and Luis Felipe, they're aggressive, they're high, there's space there for him to come into, and that's when Lino Mafeka and Johnny Rodriguez can play off of Dom Dwyer, who's so good with his back to goal and playing into him.
Luis Felipe back up, which is good news. Wanted to make mention of the fact that he helped spearhead a GoFundMe for his teammate's son. So Rodrigo Lopez, who we mentioned earlier, suffered a season-ending knee injury. He's in the venue today. You see him there. His 10-year-old son underwent surgery at the UCLA Medical Center back on May 15th. He was born with aortic stenosis, and they ultimately repaired the aortic valve in that operation. Ultimately, players in this league, soccer players in this country, often regardless of league, Devin, are rarely independently wealthy at the end of it. And so to raise well over $40,000 for Rodrigo and his family to just go focus on Roman's recovery and to help chip in on all the resource needed for that. Ultimately, I spoke with Luis about it yesterday. He said Rodrigo really didn't want that form of charity, and yet ultimately felt if I convince him to take it, there are certainly fans, and you and I certainly share the sentiment, who would love to give back to the Lopez family in that way. Roman, very successful operation. He's back at Heart Health Park, which is the home of the Republic, 90 minutes or so away from here shortly thereafter. Ball lobbed across, comes up high to Njai. Njai. Well, that's the energy that Gavin Clinton wanted. Rolls out to Dom Dwyer. Let's go down to Marion with more on Rodrigo.
Important for the morale of this group. You know, we've been so frustrated because training has been excellent, but the execution in the 90 minutes just hasn't been there. So for us to look as good as we have today, for us to be pressing with as much confidence as we have been today, and for us to be as confident in front of goal as we have been today, this is the best thing that we could have asked for.
Interesting too, behind the scenes, getting a chance to chat with him at the beginning of the game, you know, discussing his recovery and how this is different than when he went down, 24 months ago, that there was no real ability to get him back into the squad this year. So he's isolated a lot. Feels like it's a little bit more difficult in that sense, but also having the ability to recover with Russell Cicerone, who he says is an absolute beast in the gym. Hope to get him back in a couple of days' time. Should be available for selection next week.
Sacramento will go to Detroit on the 27th. Cicerone, their leading scorer last year, would be huge player to get back into the lineup.
I noticed you didn't mention that he recycles as well.
Sanchez. And a recycled set piece to come for Sacramento. Yeah, I love that. Not only did Rodrigo say that to you, right? Being able to try and rehabilitate alongside Russell. but when he got injured, it would be very easy for a player in his late 30s to see a knee injury as the tail end of his career, and yet he felt ultimately it was a chance for him to rehab with his son, who's coming back from that heart surgery in May as well.
He sees a different side of the game. Again, he said coming into the match tonight, they lacked a little bit of ambition and leadership on the field. So off the field, Mark Briggs including him into training sessions and just giving him another way to go and attack the season is going to look like, even as an absence inside the lines.
Fecca took it off of Portillo and back down into the defense, where Lee Desmond is the one temporarily, he'll be the first to say, holding the captain's armband in Roro's absence. Here's Ross. Switch from Luis Felipe came up short. Here's Njai. Is this a little more stretched for Sacramento than you'd anticipate? Because Njai just got by the first player. Wheat is nearly off to the races. Diaz hangs this up. Vitiello was behind Rodriguez. Sanchez. Sacramento raced out to a 4-0 lead in the opening 46 minutes. Oakland in the 56th got one back. Here's Pirano at full speed. Through the legs of Sanchez. He'll stay in play. As far as Ross.
And this one there, Jekker on the far side, wide open. Done to keep the pressure up high.
Now Luis Felipe. Return. Pirano escaped Njai. Pirano lightning into the penalty area. And Sorrell can't save what'll be an impending corner. Sacramento getting a goal off a set piece that opened things up in the 28th. Timmer back across into the path of Shane Wheat. The Sacramento team will often use the term ruthless to describe their aim.
That's certainly not 10 yards. That's the argument for the referee. Wants it to play. That's one way to go about it.
There's a literal mark for it.
Yeah.
Hung up to the backside. Could have looked familiar. Instead, this is out for a goal kick. Mark Briggs, just the third coach in championship history to eclipse 100 wins, winning his coach in Republic history, standing by with Marion.
An aggressive mentality, it's exactly what you asked for out of this group. What was the message in the locker room?
To keep on going. We have to keep the momentum and we have to keep the standards. Oakland are a team that don't stop, and we come on 11 to get back in the game.
It's been exciting because after seeing Russell go down and trying to rehab back into this lineup, and Rodrigo Lopez with a season-ending injury, you've missed some of that star attacking power. You've gotten multiple different goal contributors on the sheet today. What does that feel like?
Yeah, it's nice. It shows the quality that we have in depth, and the players that have stepped in are starting to show what we always knew was in there, and today it's come out.
Awesome. Good luck.
And wasn't that a lot of the conversation we had with Mark Briggs yesterday at the team hotel? We need to see guys step up to the occasion, because when you look at Sacramento, Open Cup, some playoff games, the first year before any of these players other than Rodrigo Lopez were involved in the team in 2014 when Preki was coaching the side. They've always stepped up to the big game. It's what do you do when that's not the case, when your form isn't quite right. Dwyer deflects down, he'll have a second go. Dwyer, harmless.
That's where they're at right now, though. It's throughout the season. Two best performances on the year. Open Cup against San Jose, Open Cup against Seattle, and probably about a 60-minute window within that conversation. And same thing tonight, beautiful. The the start of the afternoon, over 45 minutes. But they're struggling right now. There's a real intensity to the Oakland Roots. They've bumped Johnny Rodriguez a little bit higher with Little Mafeka coming in too. All of a sudden, that back line, very difficult to track everyone.
Ball logged in! Now Oakland's got a real chance at this with 20 minutes to go!
They didn't call the foul on the far sideline. That was the first one, the argument from Checker. But watch all the space that opens up in this situation. This is what I was just talking about. The back three against Johnny Rodriguez and Dom Dwyer. And the problem is, Dom Dwyer came up into the pocket and everybody was fixated on the 9. Totally forgot about the speedster that has been Johnny Rodriguez and his quality in 2024. Slow in the first half in the 9 position, not enough activity, not enough movement into his feet with the ball. You bring him to the outside, allow him to get forward facing, and he pulls another one back for the Roots.
A change that was pre-planned before that goal. Tamakis in, Memo Diaz off. Is it too little, too late? 2 goals unanswered for Oakland. Yellow card here to go to Gomez. Well, here comes the fun, huh? Plenty of time. If Oakland finds another, it'll feel like an avalanche. Ball knocked down by Gurr. End line, cut back. Phillips! High. Could have totally shifted the momentum back the other way. And in doing so, could have managed a hat trick on the day. Johnny Rodriguez now 2 goals today, 5 and 5, 8 on the season, after scoring a dozen last year. Yellow card to Sanchez. And Tamakis unkindly welcomed to the game.
Like everything's had a little bit extra here, and really not only the second half, but really in the final 10 minutes of the first half as well. There, Sanchez didn't feel the pressure for the right shoulder. Play this down into the corner. And have they been aggressive, the Oakland Roots, in their positioning. It starts on the back line with the 2 center backs, Gagi, Nabil Hackshaw. Quicker, ball off their feet, allowed numbers to come forward. I talked about Dom Dwyer and Johnny Rodriguez up top. Certainly the space that it's opened up for Little Mafeka as well. Some really good movements for the afternoon with the inclusion of Abakar and Jai for that left flank.
Yellow. Sacramento team that has the best defensive record in the league. They've only allowed 13. Being put under pressure now. Sanchez. Riley came high, falls to Gagi. Rano. Gurr. Remember Oakland kind of describing having to weather the storm late? Well, Sacramento might be feeling a bit of that right now. Timmer. Gomez. Ross was waiting high. Rasmussen, it's not the initial effort, it's the second, draws the whistle. Oakland is going to make their 5th and final change. No point in leaving any chips. Nader Sherry in off the bench. And Dev, you know this guy's got a little bit of something special in him. Think back to the Champions Cup in CONCACAF in 2023. He's playing with small but mighty Violette in Haiti. 2 goals against Leon, 2 goals against Austin. They knocked Austin out of the Champions Cup, this small Haitian team that, due to civil unrest in the country, wasn't even playing domestically and couldn't play in the confines of Haiti. Had to go play over the border in the Dominican Republic.
All because of his production, though, right? Certainly it was the effort of the team overall, but his ability to produce 25 yards and in. And it's a very different look because we talked about Rodriguez and Dwyer. Now all of a sudden you should see a little bit of a higher line now from Shetty onto that front line. He's got a ton of speed, and what they'll look to do is they want to bring a little bit of pressure just in front of that back line. They'll give Dom Dwyer more freedom to float and really challenge Justin Portillo because he controls all the movements for Sacramento. But as he comes off and you find him, you get space on the outside, and Shetty gets himself the ability to attack that back 3 head on.
Double sub includes the player who scored a brace this afternoon. That's it for Kieran Phillips. Ammon on in his stead, and it started early. 5th minute early.
Well done, taking over on the tackle in the middle of the box. It was a terrible ball played back across, but still really well done by Kieran Phillips to get it out in front of him. The second one, though, it was about pressure that he applied because he just sat in this gray area between Memo Diaz and the back line that had Gagi just instituted into the game. 2 in a 9-minute span. Sudden Mark Briggs gets exactly what he wants, his 9 scoring once again.
Over from Riley. Rasmussen in toward Njai. We've seen some wild, chaotic scenes, but if Oakland finds a way, goodness, it would be an all-time classic in the championship.
I recognize, too, that what he's done with the addition of Jonathan Ricketts here is just chase the game, speed, chase the game, give pressure. Ricketts a very linear player up and down that right flank, but as you bring him higher, as aggressive as Oakland has been, you're trying to push some of those numbers back, and that's what his role is going to be here inside 15 minutes to go.
Sherry, Tamakis. Viniello had to leave his penalty area, got it away. Stabbed down by Riley, and there is Luis Felipe. Sanchez bodied, play on, Ross throws Sacramento. Sanchez. Felipe. Here's Ammon. He's had some real bright spots this year. That won't be one of them. Ball lobbed up for Dwyer. You know, you recognize Dwyer hasn't scored yet. You do get the feeling he's come in and changed the game. He's certainly got Sacramento's attention. The drive, Ricketts, Ross, winding through, scooped here by Sorrell. Let's go down to Marion with more on the most recent substitutions.
Sacramento, it is strictly about fresh legs, players who are going to be willing to get up and down the field. And then for Oakland, it's about outnumbering Sacramento's back line. Cherie specifically for Lindo and Fecca. Now they have 4 forwards up top, and Cherie has some stature if need be, which they think could prove vital here in these closing stages.
This Oakland partisan crowd wants to see the ball back in play. 10 minutes remaining, plus stoppage. Bounces through to Ross. Pumps the brakes on Hackshaw, who eventually caught up. Ricketts, offside. Sacramento have gotten 8 league goals and a couple in the Open Cup out of substitutes. They're one of the best in the league, creating goals off their bench. Could it be Ammon coming off the bench on this occasion? Might be able to separate the final nail in. Sebastian Herrera today, notably. Played into Tamakis. Endline cutback met by Vidiello. Sorrell, Cherie, short for Tamakis. Good turn by Ross. And through now. Ricketts was offside. He paid a price for that being allowed to have played out. There is no VAR in the championship.
Lost a little bit on that far side with Rasmussen coming much higher regularly, so all of a sudden Babacar and he's just tucked in a little bit too much. They haven't allowed him to create that same sort of presence that saw him pretty active in the opening 15 minutes of the second half.
Wire in the pocket, appeal for a handball, play on, and Jai. Ricketts was able to wrest the ball away. Ammon on a solo mission, bodied off by Hackshaw. Ross. It continues. Ammon running down the middle by his lonesome. Ammon! 5. A Sacramento runaway. Oakland punching their way back in the second half. It appears Sacramento has sealed all 3.
Just too adventurous here, though. They were very aggressive, and the problem is when you take risks, they have to be calculated. That one was not. Ball should have been to the outside, and instead, when you come up the middle, way too much space on this near touchline for Republic to counter into. Now credit to Nick Ross, who not only makes the first tackle, but immediately picks his head up to see Trevor Ammon streaking right down through the center of the back line for Sacramento Republic, and a striker who was in the best of form at the start of the season, really struggling over the past couple of weeks with the rest of this Republic attack. A much-needed goal that sees him hit the back of the net for the first time since that 3-2 loss against Oakland back at the beginning of June.
23 goals last year, League One Golden Boot winner, Player of the Year in Northern Colorado. And now 9 goals in 19 games for Trevor Ammon.
And tell me, by the way, although location on the field a tad different, it's almost a carbon copy of the first goal.
Yep.
You'll recognize that in that situation, you're on the far touchline. Memo Diaz has the ability to play the ball right next to him. Instead, goes right up through the middle. Republic pick it up, come the other direction. Gaki, same situation. You've got that simple ball, 10, 15 yards over the right shoulder. Instead, tries to come up through the middle, and you don't have the coverage. Certainly not for faint of heart here in the second half for the Oakland Roots getting back into this match. Tactically, did a really good job of making their adjustments. They had numbers up high. Just got in their own way. Their own decision-making became the main reason in the second half why they weren't able to complete a comeback.
Double sub. It's a couple of guys that came out of the academy, including the youngest player to ever appear in an American pro soccer match. He did so at 13 years, 7 months, 13 days. Davion Kimbrough, just 14 in off the bench. Then a player who hung around his academy and the first team specifically dating to 2020, 19-year-old Rafael Jauregui. In for Sherry. Remember when Phillips going into halftime said 5 or 6? Sounds rather prescient now. In for Ammon. Flag is down. Ammon pumps the brakes. He's trying to play through Jauregui.
Loney, goal scorer, soothsayer.
Yeah. 2 minutes and stoppage time to go. Good read by Kimbrough. And Jai.
We've learned a lot about these two teams, though, over the last 90 minutes, and it's been put on the field. Republic team that their manager Mark Briggs was very clear needed a response from. Feels like their efforts into matches, regardless of game plan, haven't been good enough. Come on, challenge them each individually. You got that. If you're Ammon Glinton, needed a response from his team after the Pittsburgh game. It took 45 minutes. But you did get it. I give them credit for getting back into this match in the second half here. And, you know, one of the great things they've experienced over the 12-match run prior to this match, Mike, was the way that they had won games, right? They found a way to always get themselves back into it by hook or by crook. 2-0 on the road at Orange County in June. The best complete performance we saw. The very next week, they suffered mightily in a 1-0 victory over what most people, including myself, call the best team in the USL Championship in Louisville City. Other matches, 30, 40-minute spells where they found ways to be impactful. And while certainly it wasn't the great start to the match that they wanted, it's not going to be the result that they wanted on the day overall. You do have to give them credit for character to find a way back into this match, albeit falling just short.
Desmond back up. Alpian Tamakis. Gagi. Seven minutes of added time. And a yellow card shown to Ricketts. Enjai. Well, this will drop Oakland below 500, and yet still in third place in what is a wildly competitive Western Conference. Here's Ammon. Flanked on either side. Kimbrough available. Jauregui. And line leads back. Ammon turning Kimbrough. Into space for Enjai. A trio of black shirts into the penalty area. Enjai. Slid away with Marcus appearing. He's got it now. Had quite the summer. That tremendous run, championship side, Jess Clinton's Soul team, tremendous in the W League. Congrats to the North Carolina Courage under 23s that take the W League title last night. Header up and over from Tamakis. And you can expect the Soul and the Roots to have a home here in Oakland for a long, long time. The Roots final stages of talks with the Oakland Coliseum to play there next season. Of course, Major League Baseball's Oakland Athletics currently play at the Coliseum. They'll be moving to Sacramento for the next 3 years before moving to Las Vegas, as has been much reported. There's been much talk about a modular stadium there in that complex. Host the Roots and the Soul for the long term. Complex that hosts both the Coliseum and Oracle Arena, the old home of the Golden State Warriors. They moved to San Francisco in the new Chase Center.
You know what we discussed earlier, Charleston Battery in the Eastern Conference. I mentioned the win for the Oakland Roots over Louisville City. You know, your intentions towards what does it look like in the Western Conference? Everybody chasing New Mexico. No question about that whatsoever, not just on points, but the quality of play. Most consistent team in the Western Conference for sure. Eric Quill's done a really good job there at having Clinton ideas of what could be for this team in the West in the future. For me, what is really a 5 or 6 team race, the USL Championship title overall. A little bit lopsided in the East in that conversation.
Tampa Bay, Indy fighting for that home playoff position right now, and then looks like Louisville and Charleston might be in for the long haul. Well, it may just be the Eastern title, but at this rate, it appears more likely to be for the Shield.
Yeah, it's like we're just over the halfway point, but there is clear separation between the top 4 in the East, as well as what we've seen at the highest of levels for New Mexico and Sacramento Republic on the year. Also gives you an idea of how difficult it is in the Western Conference that, as we discuss those 6 teams in the separation, and specifically New Mexico United and Sac in the West, Oakland had the lead and the tiebreaker coming in on the afternoon.
Runs out of play away from Rasmussen. Well, Sacramento runs away with this. Game in the midst of our summer of soccer, a summer of soccer that runs not only in the championship and the Jägermeister Cup continued last week in League One. USL Super League comes to the fore August 17th. 8 teams for that First Division Women's Pro League. This escapes. We're a couple weeks away from heading off to Detroit. We get our first in-person dose of Keyworth Stadium. Take on Rhode Island.
Former Sacramento Republic man in charge of that team, Canadicchio, Detroit City.
He's done a really good job.
Excellent. Well, so is Connor Smith in Rhode Island.
And you know something, it would have been easy to lose perspective, right? Yeah. You get through 10, 11 games and you're not where you want to be, and then throw the hammer down, as we've come to see over the last, 6 weeks?
When you get through 10, 11 games, you're not where you want to be, but you get 10 draws out of it, most in the
USL
Championship, which allows you
they stayed afloat
to remain relevant, absolutely. And all of a sudden, just 4 losses to their name, tied for 3rd least in the league, gives you an idea of the quality, much more comfortable as they move back to front. They've done a good job of keeping the levels together, and it doesn't hurt to have the reigning MVP start to score, and Albert Deco up top.
We'll see that August 3rd on CBS. Detroit and Rhode Island. Well, it's going to be a very happy 90-minute drive for the Republic fans. And Oakland left licking their wounds. They concede 5 in back-to-back games. That's it, full-time. Sacramento holds second place by their lonesome, a 5-2 win over their NorCal rival, the Oakland Roots, on the road. And they get revenge for the defeat they suffered 6 weeks ago, and perhaps have kick-started the summer, the second half of their season.
Excellent performance from Sacramento Republic, but for Mark Briggs, probably left wanting a little bit more out of this group because of the concession in the second half, specifically to Johnny Rodriguez, 2 goals in the 16-minute span. But the best that we've seen from Republic and on the road in a while. Oakland Roots, they struggled at the beginning of this game. Sacramento Republic, just a few minutes in transition, again, comfortable in possession. Unfortunately, took a chance. Memo Diaz didn't recognize where Camden Riley and his positioning had gone on that far side of the field. Neviel Hackshaw trying to lay chase. Instead, 5 minutes in, Republic up 1-0.
And Kieran Phillips only just getting it started for the Republic personally and as a collective. Skip ahead to the 27th minute, and it's off a free kick.
The big issue Gavin Glitton's going to have here is organization. There wasn't enough communication on the backside. You could see it that there was a mismatch there. Good job by Republic of picking out that moment, bringing it back across the 6, and Shane Weed scores his first goal in almost 12 months' time, but they weren't done there. Christian Perano, what an addition he's been into this team. Although he's been on the roster over the past couple of matches, the energy, his one-on-one creativity, and Nick Ross, by the way, who had a coming-out party on the front line tonight, naps another one, 3-0 after 45 minutes.
And then in the 46th minute, Kieran Phillips again.
Start strong. Kieran Phillips heading into the dressing room. We asked him, what is your ambition in the second half? Score 5 or 6. Well, they certainly did that. Look at the numbers that Sacramento Republic have forward here. A much better base defensively for the Oakland Roots, but a no-time touch from Camden Riley. There's nothing that Tim Sorrell could do in that situation. It was 4, but there would be a response. There were 3 changes at halftime. Dom Dwyer came in. That allowed Johnny Rodriguez to get further up on the front line. And I love the willingness to commit numbers coming forward, which sends to Johnny Rodriguez on the counterattack goal, and they grab one back.
No quit in Oakland. The fans said so pregame. Johnny Rodriguez ensured it, and with 20 minutes to go, suddenly this hung in the balance again.
They had numbers up high, and the back line for Sacramento Republic really struggled with their organization. I would also add, this is something to keep an eye on. Notice how high Danny Vitiello is off his line. It's something that has suited them its aggression to come off and create contact, pick up some of those plays, but it also has gotten them in trouble 2 matches in a row. The game against Seattle Sounders being the other one in Open Cup play. But right back at it, they did not put their heads down. There was a ton of energy from their subs. You've got Nick Ross up high once again. Good ball back across and Trevor Ammon. There was just so much separation on that back line for Oakland in the second half here. He grabs his first goal since their 3-2 loss against Oakland Roots about a month's time ago.
Everybody in on the act, down to Marion with the acting Republic captain, Lee Desmond.
Lee, tell me the biggest difference in your squad's performance today, 5-2 win, versus the performance in the 3-2 loss earlier to Oakland this season.
I think we were fearless today. I think the big thing was that was building up for 6 weeks since they beat us at home. And we were hurt in the last 6 weeks, and we worked so hard. We worked like dogs every day, but the performances weren't coming on the weekend, and it clicked today. So I'm just so happy for everyone, because it's been a tough 6 weeks, but long way to go. It's a start for us.
How do the early goals in a match like today impact your defensive mentality throughout the rest of the match?
Yeah, we always try and get the early goal. That hasn't happened too often this season, but what we done really well today was start the second half very well too, and got the fourth goal. I know we let them back into it then, but big improvement today in every aspect of the game.
A lot of positives to take into your match into Detroit next weekend. Lee, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So Sacramento grabs hold of second place behind New Mexico. Oakland slides into third on 29 points, and Sacramento suddenly with 2 games in New Mexico's pocket, 3 points off the pace for the top spot in the West. Oakland has now conceded 35 goals. That's most in the West. Happy drive back for the Sacramento faithful that made the trek into the Bay Area. The Oakland Roots always call this a bit of a block party. Not on this occasion. Sacramento, a tremendous performance. For Devin, Marion, our entire crew, Mike saying so long from the Bay Area, where the final score is 5-2 Sacramento. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports in association with the United Soccer League.